might think that's kindness, that always being helpful, never upsetting anyone, is a sign of being a good person. But if you're saying yes just to avoid making others uncomfortable, while pushing yourself into exhaustion, resentment, or confusion, that's no longer kindness. That's self-abandonment. Marcus Aurelius once wrote in Meditations, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." The Stoics didn't live to please people. They lived to protect the integrity of their minds, something no one can take from you, unless you give it away. Every time you say yes when your heart says no, you dig yourself deeper into a hole. With each agreement that goes against your values, you shrink a little. In your relationships, at work, even in your own sense of self. Soon you start waking up with a quiet kind of dread, not because you're overworked, but because you're living someone else's life. Stoicism doesn't teach you to be selfish. It teaches that living with reason is the first duty of a mature human being. And that reason will tell you clearly when to help and when to stop. Epictetus, a slave who became a philosopher, once said, "No one is free who is not master of himself." You can help the whole world, but if you can't master your own yes, you're giving up the most vital freedom of all, your inner freedom. So the next time someone asks you for something, take a breath. Ask yourself, do I truly want to do this? Am I betraying any of my boundaries or values? If I say no, could that actually be the most respectful choice for both of us? True kindness isn't measured by how often you nod. It's measured by whether your yes comes from strength, not from fear. 2, you let others take advantage of your kindness. Have you ever felt this way? You help someone with all your heart, thinking you're doing the right thing, but instead of gratitude, they come back with more demands. Bit by bit, they take your time, your energy, your patience, and your trust. And the moment you stop giving, they turn away, or worse, they blame you. Kindness without boundaries quickly becomes a resource to be exploited. The Stoics understood this well. They weren't against helping others, but they held fast to one core principle. Give because you choose to, not because you're being controlled. Epictetus once said, "No one is free who is not master of himself." If you're constantly acting out of fear of disappointing someone, of being judged, then you're letting others control your mind. And to the Stoic, that's the greatest failure. Real kindness shouldn't drain you. It should come from intention and awareness. Only when you give willingly, within the limits you've set, does your kindness have true value and lasting strength. Don't get it twisted. Just because someone needs help doesn't mean you have to give it. Just because someone shows up with a sad face doesn't mean it's your job to save them. You are not responsible for fixing the whole world, especially not at the cost of breaking yourself. Remember, you weren't born to be someone else's background character. You were born to live with integrity, strength, and intelligent compassion. 3, you don't set personal boundaries. Have you ever felt frustrated or uncomfortable, but still couldn't bring yourself to speak up? Do you let others intrude on your time, your emotions, even your private life? Just because you don't want to be inconvenient? That's not kindness. That's the absence of personal boundaries, and it can quietly destroy you from within. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In Stoic philosophy, the mind is sacred space. You can't control the world, but you can and must control how you allow the world to enter your life. Personal boundaries aren't walls to push people away. They're maps that show others how to treat you with respect. Without them, you let other people's emotions take over yours. You let their schedules overrun your own. You let society's expectations shape who you are. And slowly you lose yourself in a role that was never meant for you. Stoicism doesn't teach selfishness. It teaches you to know where you end and where others begin. Remember, boundaries are not rejection. They are the purest form of healthy love for yourself and for others. If someone is crossing a line, have the courage to say something. You don't have to yell. You don't have to explain yourself. A simple sentence like, "I need some space right now," or "I'm not able to help with that today," is enough to stand your ground. And here's the beautiful part. When you set boundaries, the kind people will respect them. The ones who leave, their life's natural filter. Always remember, no one can enter your mind unless you open the door. 4, you sacrifice yourself to be liked. We all want to be liked, to be accepted, to feel seen and valued by others. That's a deeply human instinct. But the danger begins when we start trading parts of ourselves just to earn a nod of approval from the outside world. Have you ever done something you didn't believe in just to make someone else happy? Have you ever smiled when you were breaking inside, agreed with something you didn't believe, or stayed silent in the face of injustice? Just because you were afraid that speaking up might cost you someone's affection? If so, you're not alone. But you also need to know that's the fastest way to lose touch with who you truly are. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Don't let the applause of others drown out the voice of your own reason." In Stoic philosophy, the wise don't live for the approval of the crowd. They live by the harmony between their reason and their actions. When you stay true to your values, even if others don't understand, you remain at peace. But if you keep bending yourself just to be liked, you'll eventually melt into a shape you no longer recognize. And one day you'll look in the mirror and ask, who am I really living for? Epictetus put it bluntly, you can either be loved or you can maintain your dignity, but rarely both. The approval of the crowd is fleeting. Today they cheer you on. Tomorrow they may turn away. But your inner truth, your courage, your integrity, your ability to live in alignment with your ideals, that's something no one can take from you. Real love doesn't ask you to shrink. The people who truly care about you will respect your honesty and your boundaries. So the next time you catch yourself doing something just to be liked, pause and ask, am I doing this because it's right or because I'm afraid of being disliked? Because being liked is a blessing, but being true to yourself, that's freedom. 5, you're afraid of disappointing others. Have you ever said yes to something just because you were afraid someone would be upset if you didn't? Maybe it was a favor, a work expectation, or even a role someone else assigned to you. You agreed, even when your heart said no. Because the thought of letting them down felt unbearable. But pause for a moment and consider this. Every time you choose to please someone else by going against your own truth, you're disappointing yourself. In Stoic philosophy, the real tragedy isn't that others might be unhappy. It's that you betray your own reason and values. Epictetus said it best. Never sell your soul just to be accepted at a cheap price. If someone is disappointed because you were honest, because you protected your boundaries, that disappointment says more about them than it does about you. It means they were attached to a version of you that wasn't real. Marcus Aurelius also reminded us, do what is right, the rest doesn't matter. You can't control other people's emotions. What you can control is showing up truthfully, with strength, with kindness, and without abandoning yourself in the process. Because sometimes disappointing others is necessary so that you don't end up disappointing the one person who matters most. You. 6, you use kindness to avoid conflict. Have you ever smiled, nodded, and said, "It's okay," while inside you were hurt, angry, or overwhelmed? You didn't want to argue. You didn't want others to see you upset. So you took the safe route. Be kind. Stay quiet. At first glance, that might seem noble, but in truth, it's a form of avoidance. And over time, it causes you to slowly disappear from your own life. Stoics weren't afraid of confrontation. They didn't seek it, but they didn't run from it either, because they understood. A peaceful life isn't one without storms. It's a mind strong enough to weather the storm without losing itself. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Say what you mean. Do what you believe. Don't let fear cripple your actions." When you use kindness as a shield to avoid hard conversations, you're not just deceiving others, you're betraying yourself. You deny people the chance to know the real you. And worse, you miss the opportunity to build relationships based on truth, instead of just comfort. Stoicism teaches that temporary discomfort is better than long-term resentment. An honest conversation, even if uncomfortable, is far more valuable than quiet endurance. Facing conflict isn't about winning. It's about protecting your clarity, your truth, and your self-respect. Because if you have to pretend to agree just to keep the peace, then that peace isn't real. It's conditional silence. Learn to speak your truth, calmly, without anger. Because when you find the courage to speak up, you don't just free yourself, you give others permission to be real too. Kindness isn't a mask. Kindness is strength when it stands side by side with honesty. 7, you think saying no is selfish. Have you ever felt guilty for turning someone down? Worried that if you don't help, people might think you're cold or selfish? You want to be the kind one, but sometimes you forget that saying no doesn't always mean you're being unkind. In truth, saying no is an act of self-protection, and sometimes it's the best thing you can do, not just for yourself, but for the other person too. Stoicism teaches, when you say no, you're refusing to force yourself into something that doesn't align, and that's essential for inner freedom. When you turn down a request that goes against your values, you're not just protecting your well-being, you're also teaching others to respect your boundaries. Because if you keep saying yes just to keep people happy, you're creating dependency, both theirs and yours. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Don't let guilt drag you into things you don't want to do." That doesn't mean you should be cold or distant, but saying no is how you stay rooted. It's how you build a meaningful life. One that reflects your time, energy, and deeper values. Saying no isn't selfish. It's the courage to live with integrity. So remember, you don't have to please everyone. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is to say no. 8, you confuse kindness with weakness. Kindness is a beautiful virtue, but if you're not careful, it can be easily exploited. You might think you're being kind, but in reality, you may be acting out of fear. Fear of being seen as selfish, or fear of standing your ground. And when you fail to set boundaries, your kindness can slowly turn into a form of weakness. Stoicism makes it clear. Kindness does not mean always saying yes. Stoics understand that pleasing others is not the goal of life. Their goal is to live with reason, to stay grounded in values they believe in, not just go along with what others expect. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Don't do anything that goes against your reason, and don't live according to someone else's expectations if they don't reflect who you truly are." Kindness isn't about saying yes to everything. It isn't about bending over backwards to be liked. True kindness comes from strength, from knowing when to help and when to say no in order to protect your well-being and your core values. If you're only helping others because you're afraid of being seen as weak or selfish, then you're not helping them, and you're definitely not helping yourself. Weakness isn't in saying no. Weakness is when you're too afraid to hold the line on what truly matters to you. Real kindness comes from inner strength. It comes from the power to choose when to give and when to hold back. True kindness is strength, not weakness. As Sometimes the direction of your entire life can shift, all because of the thoughts you allow to take root. So let's start with the first principle. Learn to release the need for control. Overthinking usually isn't just about thinking too much. It's about fear. Fear of choosing wrong. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of failing when it matters most. So what do? We mentally play out every possible version of the future. We replay old conversations like broken records. We obsess over what-ifs that may never happen. But here's the honest truth. You could analyze a moment 1,000 times, and life will still throw something unexpected at you. Control, as comforting as it sounds, is mostly an illusion. The weather changes. People say what they want. Life shifts without notice. But when you learn to accept the unknown, when you stop fighting to control every outcome, you don't become weaker, you become free. You free up mental space. You make room for peace. And most importantly, you begin to flow with life instead of resisting it. Once you stop resisting life, you begin to move with it, not against it. Here's something simple but powerful. Grab a piece of paper, draw 2 circles. In the first one, write down what you can control. Your actions, your attitude, your choices. In the second, list the things you can't control. Other people's thoughts, the past, unexpected events. Now, anytime worry creeps in, ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, breathe and let it go. This brings us to the next step. Practice mindfulness. And I don't mean anything complicated, just be where you actually are. Overthinking drags your mind into the future, worrying about what could happen, or it pulls you backward, regretting what already passed. But peace only lives in the present moment. Picture this. You're sitting on a bench in a quiet park. The sun is warm on your face. The breeze gently moves through your hair. Birds are singing, but instead of soaking it in, you're stuck replaying an argument from 3 days ago. You're physically in a peaceful place, but your mind is in a battlefield. That's what overthinking steals from you. The beauty of now. So return to your breath, return to your senses, return to this moment. It's the only place life is truly happening. That moment you're obsessing over, it's already passed. It's gone. But your body doesn't know that. It's reacting as if the threat is still happening, right now. That's the cruel trick of overthinking. It forces you to relive stress that no longer exists. So how do you break the cycle? Use grounding techniques. Pull yourself back into reality. Start with your breath. Slow, deep, steady. Then engage your senses. Look around. Name 5 things you can see. Now 4 things you can physically touch. 3 things you can hear. 2 things you can smell. And 1 thing you can taste or feel emotionally. This isn't just a calming trick. It's a reset for your nervous system. You can also try a 2-minute walking meditation, or just stand outside, feel the ground under your feet, and listen. Even short moments like this, done consistently, can begin to rewire your brain. Now let's talk about something just as important: protecting what your mind consumes. Because your mind is like a sponge, it soaks up everything you feed it. If you're endlessly scrolling through toxic headlines, watching people argue online, or comparing yourself to curated perfection on social media, your thoughts will absorb that noise, your inner peace will shrink, and anxiety will grow in its place. You are the gatekeeper of your mental environment. So choose wisely what you let in. All that mental clutter you carry, it doesn't just sit quietly in the background. It spills into everything: your mood, your energy, even your ability to enjoy life. But let's be clear. This isn't about ignoring reality. It's about choosing intention over reaction. Think about it like this. You wouldn't eat fast food all day and expect to feel strong and energized, right? The same goes for your thoughts. What you feed your mind is just as important as what you feed your body. So be mindful of your mental diet. Read uplifting books, ones that fuel your growth. Watch content that teaches, inspires, or soothes you. Listen to music that calms your nervous system or energizes your soul. Fill your ears with motivational talks instead of endless negativity. You get to choose the input. And when you choose wisely, the output, your thoughts, will begin to change too. Now let's talk about another game-changing habit. Create a worry window. Most people believe they need to solve every problem the moment it pops up. So they think and think and think all day long. But your brain wasn't designed to carry anxiety 24/7. It needs structure, it needs boundaries. Here's what you can do. Set a specific time each day, say 15 minutes, just for worrying, analyzing, and overthinking. Write your thoughts down. Let your mind go there fully. But when that timer ends, so does the worry. You move on. This simple habit trains your brain to respect limits, instead of letting your thoughts control your entire day. So here's how it works in practice. Set a timer, 10 to 15 minutes. This is your worry time. During that short window, let it all out. Write down your fears. Journal what's on your mind. Sort through the thoughts you've been avoiding. But when that timer goes off, you stop right there and you gently remind yourself, I've already given time to that today. I don't need to carry it any longer. This trains your brain to respect boundaries. It breaks the cycle of constant analysis, and it gives you back control over your mental space. Now let's go even deeper. Step 5, take action, even if it's tiny. One of the biggest lies overthinking tells us is this: you need more time to figure things out. But the truth, more thinking doesn't always lead to more clarity. It often leads to paralysis. You think, then doubt, then hesitate. And in that hesitation, your confidence fades. So you think even more and do even less. Here's how you break that loop. Move. Even if you don't feel 100% ready, even if the step is ridiculously small, try the 2-minute rule. If something will take less than 2 minutes, do it now. No delay, no debate. Taking action, any action, silences the noise in your head. Because action builds momentum, and momentum builds confidence. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start. Let's begin. 1. Realize you're not angry at what happened. You're angry at your interpretation. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said it best. It's not events that disturb us, but our judgment about them. When someone criticizes you, lies to you, or disrespects you, it's not their words that truly hurt. It's the meaning you assign to it. You might think, they think I'm weak, or how dare they treat me like this? But what if you didn't assign any meaning at all? The Stoic approach is to pause and see the event for what it is. Neutral, impersonal, fleeting. A rude comment is just sound waves. A betrayal is just a shift in someone else's choices, not a reflection of your worth. The more you take control of your interpretation, the less control others have over your emotions. Master your perception, and you'll never be mastered by emotion. And once you understand that anger starts in your own mind, it's time to protect that mind like sacred ground. 2. Build a mental fortress. Not everyone deserves access. Imagine your peace of mind as a quiet temple. Every time you react emotionally, you open the doors and let chaos run wild inside. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." People will test you. They'll push buttons you didn't even know existed. But here's the shift. You don't owe everyone your emotional energy. Just because someone is loud doesn't mean they deserve your attention. Just because someone provokes you doesn't mean you have to bite. Silence, indifference, and stillness, those are your shields. And the most dangerous people to argue with are the ones who've mastered the art of not reacting at all. But to reach that level, you need something deeper than silence. You need purpose. 3. Anchor yourself in a bigger mission. Here's the truth most people don't realize. You get angry because you're too focused on yourself. When you take everything personally, your ego becomes a target for every little offense. But when you're focused on your mission, your values, your long game, you stop sweating the small stuff. The Stoics believed that life wasn't about avoiding irritation, but rising above it through purpose. Seneca once wrote, "He who is brave is free." A man of purpose doesn't break down over disrespect. Why? Because he's too busy building something meaningful. His emotional energy is reserved for what truly matters: his principles, his integrity, his legacy. So next time someone tries to provoke you, ask yourself, is this helping me get closer to my mission, or is it just a detour into distraction? Once your focus is fixed on something greater, you'll realize that most conflicts are just background noise. Practice the pause. Delay is power. Anger thrives on immediacy. It wants you to react now, to fire back, to lash out, to prove a point. But every wise man knows, the space between stimulus and response is where your power lies. The Stoics trained themselves to pause. When anger knocked, they didn't answer. They took a breath, observed the emotion, and let it pass like a storm cloud over the sea. One simple tactic: count to 10 or 20 or walk away. Let time diffuse the flame before it becomes a wildfire. The world expects you to explode, but when you respond with calm, measured stillness, you confuse your enemies and inspire those who watch. Every pause you take is a victory over the part of you that wants to self-destruct. And when you've mastered the pause, there's only one final step left: to turn pain into power. 5. Transmute anger into strength, not reaction, but redirection. Here's the final truth the Stoics live by. Anger is energy, and all energy can be redirected. Instead of lashing out, build. Instead of arguing, improve. Instead of trying to win a battle of egos, win in the arena of self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal, war, disease, and political chaos. But never once did he let rage rule him. Why? Because he channeled every blow into growth. Every insult became fuel. Every frustration became a reminder. Control yourself. Shape your soul. When someone wrongs you, ask, how can I turn this into strength? How can I become better, not bitter? That's not weakness. That's refined power. The kind that can't be provoked. The kind that commands respect. Not through noise, but through unshakable presence. And when you live like this, calm, centered, directed, something extraordinary happens. Turn 1. Master the pause before you react. Stoic thinkers believe that every emotional outburst begins with a failure to pause. Instead of reacting instantly, train yourself to stop. Just for a moment. Take one breath. Ask, is this worth my energy? That single pause can save relationships, reputations, and opportunities. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. And once you've mastered the pause, you're ready to master the story. 2. Rewrite the story. You tell yourself. Emotional pain often comes from the meaning we attach to events, not the events themselves. She didn't ignore you. She was busy. They didn't betray you. They chose their own path. You didn't fail. You learned. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Once you reframe the story, you remove the sting. And from there, you're ready to face discomfort like a warrior. 3. Lean into discomfort, don't flee. Emotional strength isn't built in comfort. It's built by leaning into the pain and realizing it can't break you. Feel awkward? Sit with it. Feel angry? Breathe through it. Feel fear? Walk toward it. The Stoics believed that discomfort is not the enemy. It's the gym for the soul. And once you embrace discomfort, you'll learn the next skill: listening with presence. 4. Listen to, understand, not to defend. Emotionally weak people listen only to reply. Emotionally strong men listen to understand. Train yourself to absorb before responding. Look people in the eye. Nod slowly. Ask thoughtful questions. This quiet power earns respect and reveals maturity. As Seneca put it, A wise man speaks because he has something to say, not because he has to say something. And once you've mastered your ears, you must learn to master your face. 5. Control your face. Control the room. Your facial expression can either fuel drama or diffuse it. The Stoics trained themselves to maintain a calm, unreadable expression, even in chaos. No eye rolling, no smirking, no angry flinches, just poise. This emotional stillness intimidates the weak and earns respect from the strong. Control your face, and you control the mood of the room. From there, the next habit sharpens your inner radar. 6. Label your emotions like a scientist. Don't say, I'm upset. Say, I feel disappointed. Don't say, I'm pissed. Say, I feel disrespected. The more specific your label, the more control you have. When you name it, you tame it. Modern psychology calls this affect labeling. The Stoics discovered it 2,000 years ago. And once you can name the storm inside you, you're ready to become the calm in everyone else's storm. 7. Become the calm presence in any room. When others panic, you stay composed. When they gossip, you remain silent. When they lash out, you breathe deeper. You become the anchor. This is the highest level of emotional intelligence. To radiate calm. Not because life is easy, but because you've trained your soul. This is the Stoic way. Our conclusion, your power is in the practice. Emotional intelligence isn't a gift, it's a skill. One that's sharpened every single day through small decisions. Choosing silence over shouting. Pausing instead of panicking. Understanding before reacting. The Stoics weren't emotionless. They were emotionally unshakable. And you can be too. Because in a world full of noise, the man who remains grounded becomes the man everyone looks up to. So start with one habit, just one, then another. And watch how your world begins to shift from within to outward. Now it's your turn. If this message spoke to something deep inside you, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video to let the algorithm know you value inner power. Subscribe to join our tribe of calm, clear, Stoic-minded men. And most importantly, share this video with someone who's ready to stop reacting and start leading. This is Stoic Modern, where we don't run from life's storms. We become the calm within them. Let's walk that path together. I'll see you in the next video.